All right, let's get started. My name is Preeti Osha, and I am delighted to be your host for today. Very well, very a very warm welcome to everyone here on this webinar. The webinar is the title. It is already been given. Code is the new data now, and have you onboarded your digital colleague yet? In order to set you the context, we are at a pivotal moment in technology. Artificial intelligence is no longer a futuristic concept. It's actively reshaping industries, and software development is at the epicenter of this transformation. Many organizations, however, face hurdles in adoption, navigating the complexities, ensuring securities, managing costs, and effectively integrating AI into established workflows. These are very well known challenges. Today, we will cut the hype and we will explore how AI specifically, when treated as a digital colleague that understands code as data, offers a pragmatic path to build applications faster, cheaper, and smarter. We'll discuss how to move from potential to production strategically. And in order to, walk us through this entire transformation, we have two fantastic speakers here. I would like to introduce Keval Hati Singh, who is the CEO of Signet.One. He is an alumni of the University of Chicago Booth School of Business, and his background includes impactful work at the Boston Consulting Group, tackling complex business challenges and driving foundational transformation. And the second, very much experienced, and I must say, Anuj, who is the CISO, Information Security Officer. He has an extensive expertise in AI, software architecture, and crucially, ensuring the secure implementation of these powerful technologies. Thank you so much for being here. Over the next 1 hour, we will be, we will also we will learn how AI revolution and the rise of digital colleague is shaping the industry. Then we will dive into the strategic imperative and a framework for successful AI adoption. We will also have a look at how AI integrates across the SDLC lifecycle in the real use cases. Then we will discuss navigating the challenges and nurturing the vital human element. Anuj will then unlock AI's potential through prompting and a live demo. We would also love to have your Q&A, question and answers, your questions. Please utilize that Q&A feature which is showing up in your window. We will be addressing all of your questions towards the end of this webinar. So let's dive in. To kick things off and set the strategic context, I would like to hand it over to Keval. Keval, over to you.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Preeti, and thank you everyone online for joining in. So, the context of the webinar today is with AI coming in, a lot of us at Signet have been exploring various different implementations. And in the month of January, we decided to take a different approach and said, let's really test out what the benefits of AI that we're seeing in terms of our processes. The results, which we will reveal at the end of this webinar, were really astounding. A few of you may have already heard of these results in discussions with us, and a lot of people saw the kind of potential that AI can bring in. And some of those themes are what we want to discuss here, along with a live demonstration of how we use AI at Signet to accelerate our processes. To kick things off, as we all see as the AI tools have come in, there's a lot of pressure on businesses to use it in every aspect across organizations. Business users have seen IT as the forefront of where they can realize value and efficiency gains with AI coming in. And now IT teams face a lot of questions, a lot of pressure, and a strong push to use AI to get business gains. Most of the enterprises around the world are looking to rethink how they do their IT processes, whether it's through internal teams or through external vendors and contractors, all of which can now be made either lower cost or more efficient with the advent of these AI tools coming in. We will walk you through how we've used these tools at Signet to realize some of these efficiencies, both in terms of increasing the quality of output and reducing the time taken to do development. To kick things off, and the core part of why this change has started coming in now is that programming is fundamentally changing. A few months ago, when I was in San Francisco, which is where the whole AI revolution started, someone at one of the AI Connects said a line that is still stuck with me. the most popular programming language in 2030 is going to be English. A key aspect that shows that is the shift in programming towards the towards the advent of vibe coding, which is how it's called these days. With these LLMs being able to increasingly understand, generate, test, and document code, it's added another layer of abstraction where programmers are even more free from boilerplate and other implementation details and now can really focus on the business logic and can focus on innovation and driving real value, whether it's to businesses internally or to customers or any other users who interact with the products that they create. When we look at where LLM tools are being used in terms of development, the two biggest areas are for writing code, generating code snippets, especially for small, repeatable chunks of code which don't need to be written out completely, and of course to replace Stack Overflow and other forums where people have asked questions traditionally. Most of us have now switched to using ChatGPT or other similar tools to answer our questions, and we can see that very clearly in the response to this survey from Statista that we've quoted here. What's very interesting is that a lot of the other areas where some of these tools can contribute are also picking up interest, but a lot of end users out there haven't been able to deploy these tools effectively. Today, we'll be showing you in our demo not just how to write code and look at the documentation of code, which are, of course, high areas of interest, but also how to test code, learn about a code base, and many other additional parts of the entire software development lifecycle that can be enhanced with the addition of an AI colleague into your team. While, of course, a lot of these results are very promising, there are still some limitations. So, we'd like to bring up a very interesting study that was done over here, where around $1 million worth of software development and software engineering tasks were sourced from Upwork, and then they were given to various different AI models to run. While most of us would expect that AI models have become advanced enough to completely fulfill these tasks, that's not what the results in the survey showed. Very interestingly, only around 26% of individual engineering tasks and only 44% of management tasks were completed by Claude's 3.5 Sonnet, which is the best model that's out there when it comes to this kind of performance testing. This only translates to earning around 400,000 of the potential 1 million in terms of freelance payouts, which is much shorter of where an equivalent team of human coders would have been able to perform. What this shows us is that there's definitely a reality gap between the AI hype and performance out there. Some of these issues, and we'll discuss this more in the demo that we show today in the remaining slides as well. Now, some of these challenges stem from the fact that either these tools don't have complete context of large code bases and may not be able to build the right integrations or may create errors that may come in by not studying dependencies properly, which is highlighted in the surface level problem solving and limited context understanding that we mention over here. The other piece is also sometimes these tools don't have the end-to-end integration required to do the testing or the deployment that can help in seeing whether the code has been developed properly or not. However, all of this is becoming increasingly popular with the power that AI agents bring in. A similar result to the study that was done is also evident when we look at respondents to surveys. So, interesting things that I'd like to point out here is when people look at how well do AI tools that people use in the development workflows handle complex tasks, they say they are good or neither good or bad, but no one really says that they are very good at handling complex tasks. This could again be because of similar reasons that we mentioned previously, which could be a lack of context, lack of understanding, and so on, right? Similarly, because of hallucination and other such problems that we see, not everyone highly trusts the accuracy of the output from AI tools, which brings in a very interesting point. These AI tools are not going to completely replace human developers or human programmers because to vouch for the accuracy and to ensure they can handle complex tasks, there's always going to be a human in the loop. However, they can really unlock time spent by human on tasks which could be automated. These could include simple code generation, writing basic unit tests, documentation, or even some deployment related tasks. And that's what we'll aim to show you today. What we see at Signet is that you can integrate agentic AI into every phase of the software development lifecycle. It can help in the requirement phase when it comes to gathering requirements, understanding, documentation, drafting user stories, and so on. It can help in the testing case to generate test cases, to do predictive defect prediction as well, and regression testing. It can help in brainstorming better architectures with all the modern technologies which are available. It can help you in your deployment and DevOps pipeline, can help you in construction, and it can help you manage and evolve your code base as well. When these digital colleagues that we talk about are onboarded, there's three key areas where we see outcomes. One is the business side, the second is the technology side, and finally and most importantly is the behavioral side of the outcomes that we see coming out. When it comes to the business outcomes, the benefits are clear, right? So there's faster time to market, and we've seen this at Signet where development times are reducing by 30-40%. There's a comparative advantage because you can develop better code now, you can integrate faster, you can look at a broader variety of options available. It can also give you strategic insights on your entire code base to look for dependencies and so on. It can reduce development cost, it can help you innovate constantly, improve your product quality, and help you scale with adding less overhead on board. Similarly, the technology outcomes are quite evident as well. So requirements can be engineered autonomously, it can design architectures by itself, we can do development automatically and do refactoring of existing code bases as well. Proactive testing can be performed, there can be goal-oriented deployment, monitoring, managing projects, and data-driven decision making, all of which are great outcomes for the technology teams. Finally, and most importantly, though, the behavioral outcomes are what teams should be focused on, right? AI is not just a tool, AI is now going to be an active part of the teams and it should be treated as such. This could start with conversations such as how does bringing a digital colleague on board change how employees perform their tasks? It might change them from simply writing and documenting code, which could take up a lot of their time, to focusing more on design related discussions, more on optimization, more on focusing on how to drive user value. Take these conversations more to be on their daily tasks that they perform as well, and see how it can be used at the end of the day to improve everyone's work life balance so that we can all deliver more output efficiently, still while maintaining a healthy life. There are definitely certain risks when it comes to integrating these digital colleagues in the software development lifecycle. Loss of human oversight and control, especially as these systems get more powerful and more independent, can cause challenges where uh, giving them access to deploy code completely autonomously can cause vulnerabilities to be injected. There may be misalignment with business goals as they may not have the entire human context over here. Security vulnerabilities is something Anuj, who's our CISO, always deals with, so that can definitely be cause challenges and come in. There may be unintended loops or infinite processes, again, because sometimes these agents may not be aware of other agents that work on the same code base. Developer skills could suffer, especially if they don't focus on constantly upgrading themselves. Um, Again, some of these code bases may not have complete context and be able to do integration completely. And there could be other ethical and legal risks as well. So all of these are very important when considering how to integrate these digital colleagues into your existing solutions. What's most important from the behavioral outcomes and the risks that we have uh, described here is that programming is always going to be a human effort, right? It's never going to be completely machines that do it. And that's mentioned really well by Donald Knuth over here. The art of computer programming is a blend of methodology, creativity, and sheer delight. And while the AI agents can work on the methodology part, maybe a little bit on the creativity, they're never going to be able to completely replace what humans bring on board here. With that initial intro, I'd like to hand it over to Anuj to talk about the more exciting part of why we are all here, which is to see some of these AI colleagues in action. So, Anuj, over to you. Please take it up.
Thanks, Q, for giving us such an interesting intro on why we are here today. I'll start up with the AI the demo that we are talking about. Now, into this demo, there are a couple of things that I want to help everybody understand. The first one is the developer who has worked onto this particular demo. He is not aware about Python or React.js in which the application has been created. He has a very basic amount of knowledge onto that, but not a detailed one. The application that we are creating over here is basically employee onboarding process into a particular project. So whatever we have seen into an organization, The employee onboarding and offboarding is one of the most important and a tedious task that an organization needs to do. Where let's say there is an employee coming in the organization, they needs to be assigned to a project. If there is a new project that needs to be created, you have to create that project, assign a particular key, make it either public or private for different employees to join in, and create and give rights to multiple different tools such as let's say Slack, Confluence, Jira, and so on and so forth. What this tool does is, with a single click, it creates all those accounts, all those accesses, and ensure that it is being provided to the employee directly as part of the onboarding process. So with this agent, the organization can reduce their complete onboarding process by a lot of days. Instead of going it for a couple of days, it might reduce to an hour or maximum 2 hours to get this done. So over here, the current bot is been defined to create a Slack channel. And as you can see over here, the Slack channel has been created. Now, with an AI agent or an AI IDE bot, what we have done is we are trying to add up a new component onto this particular page itself by implementing a Jira onboarding aspect along with Slack. So this is one of the prompts that the developer has added, where they are adding Jira as a project into the system and ensuring that it is being able to access the complete repository of this code and add that particular project onto the system itself. What you see on the right hand side of the screen are the steps that the AI agent is being taken to change all the files, to identify where the files need to be added, to add up the environment variables into the system, and ensure that the application itself has the Jira login implemented. And next time when a user clicks on it, they are able to identify and get a Jira access directly from that system. Along with implementing the code onto the system, what this agent also does is explain you each and every step that they are performing, why they have done a particular change, what step they have taken, what would be the impact of that step. And each and every code that is being created onto the system, it is highlighted into a different color, which helps the developer to identify what the changes are being done and accept or reject that particular changes, which ensures that all the code that goes out onto, let's say, a staging or production environment, it is being verified by someone, and then only it is being pushed to the live environments. So this is the step-by-step activity that the application is performing. It is doing changes into first onto the env file that was being created. The next changes were done onto the app.py file, that is a Python file which runs the complete application at the backend. It adds the commands into the system, it deletes the commands, and you are able to see that changes directly onto this particular system here. So in case there is an error, it automatically identifies the error and fix that particular aspect. And finally, it is adding up the Jira checkbox onto the front end of the system to ensure that if somebody wants to go in, there is a Jira checkbox and they can click on it and get that things implemented directly. So once the changes are being accepted by the developer at each and every file, that would be reflected directly onto the system. So this is a summary of what has happened onto the system. If there was an error, where was the error, and what it has identified and created onto the system. Now, after refreshing this, if you can see on the right side, there is a Jira project checkbox that has been created. A new project has been created onto the system, and employee details have been added. And as soon as this is created, you will get a creation page directly where you are able to get a Slack channel. If you click onto the Slack channel, there is a Jira login directly available onto there where you click on it and the same project name Jira is being created here directly. Now, the point onto the hallucination what Keval highlighted, this is one of the things that we identified. We can change this to have a link directly onto the web page, but it pasted it into the Slack channel. So the application is doing what it's required to be done, but the user experience might differ onto that particular aspect. So the code needs to be refined, the prompting needs to be refined and identified to ensure that you get the right output from the application directly, rather than having any problems onto what you want as a functionality. The second part that we are highlighting over here is onto the test cases. The Everybody needs to create test cases for the application. So what this can do is create all the test cases which can be used into either your unit testing or QA testing depending on to your requirement. The complete test case is being created into multiple files depending on the agent testing that can be performed. It can be the form testing, it can be the configuration testing, or the Python testing at the base. And you can highlight and get it separated into the tests folder that you can create onto the system directly. And again, needless to say, whatever actions that are being performed, the system identifies and gives a confirmation onto that as well. Even helps the developer to understand why that change is being performed. So it is not just implementing something onto the system, it is also ensuring that the developer are aware on what changes are being done and they can replicate it in the future as well or debug it whenever there is a requirement. So if let's say something is already existing, it would ensure that it has been rewritten and the newer version is being provided as well. Again, none of these changes goes directly to the system. All the changes that are happening, the developer needs to accept it, verify it, and then only it is being pushed to the system. And finally, one of the most tedious tasks that the developer needs to do is to create a documentation out of what they have created. So this can help you create the complete API-based documentation, which can be utilized directly by the applications that you want to develop. So again, it automatically identifies where they have to put the code or where they have to put the documentation. So a docs folder is created and documentation is being kept directly onto the docs folder. And it would identify whatever you have implemented into the application, all the cross-linkings, correlations between different functions. It would identify everything. It would create a detailed documentation around that particular aspect. So it gives the integration aspects. As we have added the Jira integration aspect recently, it already created the documentation for that as well. And you can see over here, just by utilizing this particular document, you can either train somebody to understand what the application does, and even the internal steps of the application can also be understood by that particular person just by viewing this particular document. And finally, the API referencing documentation has been created, which ensures that everything onto the API side is being documented over there as well. So to highlight the particular points over here is it is easy to utilize these applications, but you cannot rely on it completely. It reduces the efforts on the development side, but and there is a requirement to ensure that the maker checker concept into the application is being verified at a rigorous level so that the user does not push any code or any the development activity directly onto production or a staging environment without getting those verifications done. Yes, Keval, if you can share the screen, please. Okay, so this is one of the Gartner's identification on what a good developer experience is with utilizing of the AI agents or the AI digital colleague. And what it identified was to streamline the onboarding process and have self-service DevOps workflows implemented into the application, which would help uh, ensure that the systems are being foolproof, the DevOps process are being automized, and there are no problems onto the feedbacks or any other points related to that. Along with that, what the developer needs to focus now is more onto the deep work that they have to perform and collaborate with the working environment, ensuring that the repetitive task is being automized to the most extent that can be done. And finally, the most impactful thing that can happen utilizing this is you can contribute to a wider community. You can contribute to multiple different applications, multiple different programming languages instead of sticking on to what you have learned till now. This ensures that the developer gets the power utilizing English language as a programming tool and deploy and develop anything that is being possible, not just into the language that they know in depth, but other languages as well. This also gives you the freedom to fail and experiment onto different aspects. So let's say you develop a particular code which took you 6, 8 weeks to develop, and that is being done into the span of let's say a week or let's say 5 days. You get the time to fail fast, experiment, and get it right as soon as possible. And you can directly get and work onto the direct results that you are getting from direct feedbacks that you are getting from the end users rather than focusing on to the nitty gritties of the development activities as well. Again, just to reiterate on what we are trying to highlight is with AI, you can get a additional hand to implement and develop what you are trying to do, but it nowhere replaces the verifications and the checks that a developer performs onto the application. It is just an add-on where it can speed up the process that you are trying to develop. Yes, Kevin.
So, Anuj, now if you'd like to talk a little bit more about how we've used this in actual Signet projects, the two case studies
Yes.
that we've seen here, and the really drastic gains that we saw in terms of efficiency. So, just for context for the audience here, as I'd mentioned at the beginning, when we started experimenting with these tools in Signet, we said let's pick a few projects and then use them as a pilot or a study where we wanted to see and really quantify how much do these AI tools help us when we compare it to traditional development methodologies. So what we did was ask the teams to estimate efforts in their traditional working process without taking AI tools into account, then do the actual development using the best of the class AI tools, and then see the difference in effort that they can have. So Anuj, over to you to talk a little bit more about this.
Sure. Thanks, Keval, for setting the context. Now, this is a very interesting study. What we actually did was we provided AI development tools to multiple departments into the organization, multiple functions who are developing different applications on different technologies. And we also told them to utilize multiple different LLMs that are available into the market. Now, what we saw was in most of the cases, the AI outperformed what we estimated onto the development that is done without AI, and the difference was very high. If you can see over here, there are four activities that were being performed onto Java modernization aspects. And from bug solving to creating REST APIs, unit testing, and performance improvement, you are able to see the minimum difference of almost 37.5% into the efficiencies, where the number of days have been reduced drastically, and the developer can utilize those days into performing any other activities as well. So this is onto the Java side. Over here, we have utilized Sonnet 3.5 as a LLM to ensure that we get the result out of this particular aspect. Can move to the next one, Kevin. The same thing goes with BigCommerce. So this is where we utilized AI to develop applications on PHP using on Shopify and PHP. The BigCommerce were the plugins that we have to develop to ensure that the necessary output is being required by the customer is being served over here directly. And again, when it comes to PHP and Shopify, we were still able to see a drastic change onto the estimations that were performed with and without AI. Without AI, the 20-day activity was being completed in 7 days, or even a 20-day activity was completed in 4 days by implementing AI directly onto the system. Now, just to again reiterate onto this, the same application was being done using Codium and Sonnet 3.5 as a LLM language. And move to the next one, please. Now, this is one of the most interesting outputs that we have seen. And this was one of the model opt-in part that I'm talking about. This application we had to sync. Again, it was the same PHP based application that we are talking about, and there was an cart feature as well as in stock feature that we have to sync onto the application. The development was done on PHP and Shopify, but while utilizing Gemini as one of the LLMs that we were identifying, we were able to see in about two cases, we were able to see some good results out of it. But one case, the result actually failed, and the time required to implement it utilizing AI was 40% higher compared to what we estimated onto the system. Now, this identifies that even by using artificial intelligence or any aspects of the AI, it is not a guarantee that you are going to get the results out as you want. The hallucination, the problems on the model getting into loop is always there. And you have to be very sure on what type of model you are utilizing, where you are utilizing that model, and how it is going to impact the overall development activity that you are trying to perform. To summarize all of these things, we have got a complete detail on each and every aspects that we have identified. Okay, we can move to the next one, please. Yes, so there were about 12 tasks that we performed onto this particular activity. The overall benefit that we identified was almost 41%. When it comes to coding specifically, the models that we identified were Sonnet 3.5, 3.7, whatever you utilize onto it, or DeepSeek is something that is best. When it comes to reasoning, where you want to understand a particular language or a particular error message that you have identified into the application, the best ones are DeepSeek and ChatGPT. Uh, Good ones onto coding are Cluster, Gemini, Flash, and ChatGPT. Those are where you get the desired result, but they get into hallucinations a lot. And same thing goes with reasoning onto Gemini and Queen as well. So that those models, again, they are very good onto reasoning as well, but they go onto loops and hallucinations a lot. Gemini standard AI is very unreliable onto the development tasks. So we have utilized Flash and thinking models of Gemini, which were comparatively better. But the base model of Gemini is not that good onto this particular aspect. To give a crux out of this, the primary thing that you have to identify when you are utilizing these tools is all the IDEs that are available or all the agents that are available. They use multiple LLMs at the backend, which you can select. Your priority should always be to identify which one suits best to your programming needs, as well as which one suits best to the activity that you are trying to perform. So be it reasoning or actual coding, the model should differ. There is no silver bullet that is for everything that you are trying to perform over here.
And just to add on here, our recommendation for anyone who takes away from this is whenever you're doing a pilot, try the same prompt across all of these different models to start off with. There are multiple websites online available which allow you to aggregate these LLMs, put the same prompt in, and compare responses. That can always be a starting point. And then, of course, test these out as well in your actual workflows. Try multiple ones out, do a pilot the same way that we did over here before choosing to procure or roll out one tool to the entire team. The other piece here is also all of this technology is very much being improved by every single day. So it's important to keep testing whatever's new in the market as well. Like around the time when we tried this DeepSeek had just come out, we took it up as a part of the trial as well and it gave some really good results.
Yes. So again, to have a idea on to the what we have discussed till now, AI development is here. It is here to stay. There would be a digital colleague who would be part of your development teams all across the projects. The only significant thing that you have to identify is number one, which are the AI tools that are improving the efficiency of your team rather than making them do multiple other works while utilizing AI. Second thing is prompt engineering is the key now. So how good you are at prompting, how good you are at identifying the nitty-gritties of what you want the AI to be done is something that is very important. And finally, addressing all the challenge on security, accuracy, and human factors is an essential, and it is a proactive requirement in the enterprises from now on. So any code that has been developed, it cannot be pushed directly onto the AI, directly onto the environments. It needs to be verified. It needs to be vetted. It needs to be ensured that there are no technical debts that you are introducing by just implementing that code. And it should be verified till the end that any other functionality is not being broken by just implementing that particular AI code. So always embrace the digital colleague, but don't trust directly or blindly onto those digital colleagues that you are trying to implement. Here, if you want to add.
Right. Yeah. No, I think Anuj, you summarized the conclusions really well. All I want to highlight again is the digital colleague is here. And now it's a very important conversation to have in terms of it's not about whether to bring them on board, but it's how to bring them on board and how to evolve our working environment so that we can be more effective with the digital colleagues joining us. With that, we'd like to invite all of you to continue the conversation. So at Signet now we're offering free AI strategy workshops where our team and your team can together think about where AI can add value to your business. We can work on building some quick POCs and use cases together that you can take away and run, and these could be production ready as well. And then leave the workshop with a longer term AI roadmap that you can plan out how to implement. These workshops are free of cost, no obligation. So please reach out to us if that's something of interest. Our team has put together the QR code over here. So if there's something of interest, please scan it and then we'll help you set up for the workshops. We'd love to work with you. We're very passionate about AI at Signet and we'd love to help you get the value addition that we've seen internally as well. With that, Preeti, it's over to you to do some interactive polls for the audience here as well. We'd love to see how everyone has been using AI, if there's something you've been considering, how the implementation has been. So, Preeti, over to you.
Yes, sure. So the polls are going to be displayed now. Yes, I would request the audience to answer the question so that we can understand the depth of your journey. Where are currently you guys are, there in this entire journey of adopting AI. So let's wait for some more minutes and we'll publish the answers. We have the results here. We
Yep.
would like
If you'd like to
to,
publish the results.
yeah, we are ending the poll. Thank you, audience.
Very interesting to see that just about everyone is exploring at least to look at AI tools. There's no one who's not currently using or planning to use AI tools. Very interesting to see that half of you who responded have been experimenting with pilots or individual developer use. But it's also surprising to see that very few people have been integrated these tools or are scaling these within the organization. That's the real step that's becoming important now. And maybe in a few months' time, when we have the webinar again, we'll see a lot more people who are actively integrating and scaling these tools in their strategy. Can go on to the next poll.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. The second question is on the screen for the audience.
Yep. So we'd love to know from all of you, what's the main area where you expect to see benefits? I know we talked about how AI can have benefits across the SDLC, but we'd love to know from all of you, not just where it's easier to be implemented or where the widest implementation would be, but where the most value addition in terms of increased efficiency or time saved could come in from these AI tools.
We'll wait for a couple of more minutes. People are still voting. We're ending the poll and results are on the screen.
Yep. So as we had expected, actually this is slightly unexpected. So we at Signet see a lot of benefit, especially in terms of planning and documentation coming in from the AI tools. So it's very interesting to see that no one really saw that as a benefit. Of course, definitely coding, accelerating coding is an area where most of us expect to see implementation, and similarly with testing as well. But very interesting to see the answer around design and documentation. We will go on to the next poll, please.
Sure. Can we launch? Okay. So that's all for the questions.
Perfect.
For the
So now we'd like to open it up for Q&A for the audience as well. So any of you, any questions that you have for us today, please feel free to add them on. And Preeti, please, you can help us facilitate this.
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much uh, for attending and joining this webinar. I hope you guys have definitely gained lots of insights from Keval and Tanuj and Anuj. The demo was exclusively created so that you can experience and you can sense the criticality of prompt engineering. And yeah, that's all from our side. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to see you in the workshop. I have seen a couple of people, they have booked their meetings. And I would request everyone to please book your slots before we fill up our all the slots booked for the next week.
Thank you all so much for taking out
Thanks.
time for the workshop and hope you have a good rest of your day.